Let's talk strictly about the topic. Mercury in seafood is something that often goes unnoticed because it is invisible, tasteless, and does not change the way fish looks on your plate. Yet, when seniors eat fish that contain high levels of mercury like swordfish, king mackerel, shark, and tilefish, the impact on the body can be slow but significant. Mercury builds up in the body over time. Unlike vitamins and minerals that the body uses and balances out, mercury accumulates in tissues, and that buildup can affect several parts of health, especially for seniors whose bodies may process toxins more slowly than before. The nervous system is one of the first areas affected by mercury exposure. For older adults, this matters deeply because balance, coordination, and memory are already more vulnerable with age. High mercury fish can worsen issues like trembling hands, tingling sensations in the legs, or difficulty concentrating. These signs may not appear immediately, but small amounts taken in regularly can make the difference between feeling steady on your feet and experiencing ongoing weakness or fogginess. Seniors often wonder why their legs feel heavy, or why their memory doesn't seem as sharp as it once was, and in some cases, it may not be aging alone, it could be tied to mercury-laden seafood. The heart is another important area. Mercury interferes with the body's natural ability to regulate blood pressure and maintain healthy circulation. For seniors, good circulation is key because it ensures that muscles, including those in the legs, receive oxygen and nutrients. Poor circulation, worsened by mercury, can contribute to cramping, weakness, or fatigue after walking short distances. Choosing safer seafood helps keep blood vessels flexible and strong rather than weighed down by hidden toxins. Vision and hearing can also be subtly influenced. Seniors often notice changes in these senses as time goes on, but mercury exposure can accelerate these declines. It may sound surprising that what you put on your plate can affect your eyesight or the clarity of sounds you hear, but mercury is known to disrupt nerve communication, and both sight and hearing rely on those pathways. Protecting these senses means avoiding unnecessary exposure from certain types of fish. This does not mean that seniors should avoid seafood altogether. Fish is an excellent source of protein, healthy fats, and vital nutrients. The real point is to know which types to limit or avoid. High mercury fish are typically larger, longer-living predators. They consume many smaller fish and accumulate mercury in their flesh over time. When seniors eat these fish, the mercury burden is passed along. By contrast, smaller fish that do not live as long or feed as high on the food chain contain much less mercury and are far safer. Swapping out swordfish for salmon, or king mackerel for sardines, can provide the same satisfaction of a fish meal without the risk. Another aspect to consider is how often these high mercury fish are eaten. A single rare occasion may not cause harm, but regular inclusion in meals can build up levels that become problematic. Seniors who value seafood should focus on consistency, choosing lower mercury options most of the time, rather than treating high mercury fish as a regular staple. Balance is the key, but knowledge about which fish are higher risk makes that balance easier to achieve. It is also important to remember that mercury risk is not just a distant concern for younger people, or those who eat fish every day. For seniors, even modest exposure matters more because the body's natural detoxification systems may not function as efficiently. The kidneys and liver, which play roles in clearing out toxins, can slow with age. That means mercury lingers longer, giving it more time to affect the brain, muscles, and blood vessels. Seniors can protect themselves simply by making careful seafood choices when making decisions at the market or restaurant. It helps to think in terms of empowerment rather than restriction. Avoiding high mercury fish is not about giving up something enjoyable, but rather about protecting your energy, independence, and clarity of mind. Each safe swap is a step toward keeping legs strong, memory sharp, and overall vitality intact. Choosing a fish like salmon over swordfish is not just a dietary preference, it's an act of investing in your own long-term well-being. By being mindful of mercury, seniors can continue to enjoy seafood with confidence, knowing they are choosing meals that support rather than sabotage their health. This awareness shifts eating from a routine act into a deliberate choice that safeguards strength and independence. And once you understand this connection, the question becomes even more engaging: if some seafood harms, which ones actually heal and restore energy? That is where the conversation naturally leads next, and it is one you will want to follow closely. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Processed seafood, such as fish sticks, imitation crab, breaded shrimp, or prepackaged seafood meals, might seem like a quick and easy option, but they often hide more harm than good, especially for seniors. What makes them risky is not the seafood itself, but the way it has been altered. When seafood goes through heavy processing, it loses much of its natural nutrition while gaining things the body does not need: excess sodium, unhealthy fats, preservatives, and chemical additives that extend shelf life. For seniors whose health depends on protecting the heart, muscles, and circulation, this trade-off can have lasting consequences. One of the biggest concerns is sodium. Processed seafood often contains very high amounts of salt to improve flavor and keep it from spoiling. While salt is important in small amounts, too much creates strain on the heart and blood vessels. For seniors, this can lead to higher blood pressure, swelling in the legs, or a feeling of heaviness when walking. Over time, that constant pressure on the arteries makes circulation less efficient, reducing the oxygen and nutrients that reach the muscles. Weakness, cramps, or fatigue in the legs can be directly tied to these subtle changes. Instead of nourishing strength, processed seafood quietly chips away at it. Another issue lies in the oils used during processing. Fried seafood is often cooked in oils that are cheap and stable for storage, but these oils are typically high in unhealthy fats. They promote inflammation, making joints stiffer, muscles more sore, and recovery from activity slower. Seniors may notice their legs ache more often, or feel tired even after light walking. Unlike the healthy omega-3 fats found in fresh fish, these processed oils work against the body's natural repair systems. Rather than soothing and strengthening, they introduce more stress into the system. Preservatives and additives also deserve attention. Many processed seafood items contain chemicals to maintain color, flavor, or texture. While small amounts may not seem alarming, the cumulative effect over time can interfere with digestion, kidney function, or even energy levels. Seniors already metabolize foods more slowly, so these substances linger in the system longer. This can leave the body working harder just to break down the meal, when it should instead be using energy to build and restore muscle strength. Food that should fuel vitality ends up stealing it quietly. There's also the issue of nutrient loss. Processing strips away much of what makes seafood beneficial in the first place. Omega-3 fatty acids, delicate vitamins, and minerals are often reduced during high heat cooking or long storage. What remains is a meal that fills the stomach but doesn't provide the nourishment the muscles and nerves need. For seniors relying on food to maintain strength and independence, this gap between calories and nutrition matters. It explains why someone can eat enough but still feel weak, drained, or unable to recover from even light exertion. Convenience is the reason many reach for processed seafood, but this convenience comes at a cost. A meal that takes 5 minutes to prepare may save time in the kitchen, but it may take away strength, mobility, and energy in the long run. For seniors, the goal should be to choose foods that give back more than they take away. Fresh or simply prepared seafood may require a bit more attention, but the payoff is steady energy, stronger legs, and sharper overall health. The contrast is clear when you compare the outcomes. Fresh fish provides omega-3 salts that reduce inflammation, improve circulation, and keep the brain sharp. Processed seafood, on the other hand, often reverses those gains by adding hidden salt, unhealthy fats, and chemicals. The body is left fighting against what was meant to be nourishment. Seniors may not notice the damage immediately, but over months or years, the effect builds. Leg cramps, fatigue, swelling, and even cognitive fog can all trace back to these subtle but consistent dietary choices. Choosing to step away from processed seafood is not about giving up pleasure or convenience, it's about protecting dignity and independence. Every senior deserves to walk steadily, climb stairs with confidence, and enjoy life without being slowed by avoidable weakness. By recognizing what processed seafood truly means for the body, it becomes easier to make choices that support long-term strength. Even small changes, like replacing frozen breaded fish sticks with a piece of baked salmon or choosing fresh shrimp over pre-breaded versions, can transform how the body feels day after day. Once you see how processed seafood drains rather than restores energy, the natural question arises: if this is what harms, then what are the choices that truly heal, energize, and protect? That is where the conversation must go next, and it promises to open the door to foods that build strength, instead of eroding it. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Mercury-heavy fish like king mackerel, shark, swordfish, and tilefish are often praised for being rich in protein, but for seniors, they carry risks that cannot be ignored. Mercury is a toxic heavy metal that accumulates in the body over time. Unlike nutrients that can be used, absorbed, and flushed out, mercury lingers, embedding itself into tissues and slowly interfering with the way the body functions. Seniors, whose systems are naturally less efficient at filtering toxins, face a greater burden when they consume these types of fish regularly. What should be food for strength can instead become a hidden threat. The nervous system is one of the first areas affected by mercury. For an older adult, even mild disruptions to nerve health can translate into tremors, tingling sensations, or unsteady balance. These subtle shifts may seem like normal aging, but in reality, mercury exposure could be compounding the problem. The legs, in particular, can feel weaker, slower to respond, or more prone to fatigue. When the communication between the brain and the muscles is disrupted, walking, climbing stairs, or even standing for longer periods becomes more difficult than it needs to be. Another hidden effect lies in circulation. Mercury interferes with how the body uses oxygen, which is essential for muscle energy. Seniors may notice that after eating certain kinds of fish, they feel more sluggish, less energized, or even heavy in the legs. This is not just coincidence, it reflects how mercury hampers the body's ability to deliver clean, efficient fuel. To the muscles, instead of feeling restored after a protein-rich meal, the body feels weighed down, as though the food worked against recovery rather than for it. The brain also cannot escape mercury's impact. For seniors, maintaining sharpness of memory, clarity of thought, and emotional balance is as important as physical strength. Mercury exposure has been linked to confusion, forgetfulness, and mood changes. These symptoms are often dismissed as normal signs of aging, but when mercury is part of the diet, they may be preventable. This shows how critical food choices are. A meal is never just a meal. It is either strengthening health or quietly eroding it. With mercury-heavy fish, the erosion is gradual but significant. It's also worth noting that mercury exposure is cumulative. This means a senior might not notice immediate harm after eating swordfish or shark once, but repeated exposure builds up. The body cannot clear it fast enough, so over months and years, the effects multiply. The result is a body that grows weaker, slower, and less resilient, not because of age alone, but because of what is being consumed. This distinction matters because it shows that strength and vitality can be preserved by avoiding foods that sabotage them. Avoiding mercury-heavy fish is not about giving up seafood altogether, it is about being selective. Seniors can still enjoy the many benefits seafood offers, but the choice must be made carefully. Safer options provide omega-3 south, lean protein, and essential minerals without the toxic burden. Understanding this difference is empowering. It allows seniors to keep seafood in their diet, but in a way that promotes energy, stability, and protection for both the body and mind. One might wonder why these types of fish contain so much mercury. The reason lies in the food chain. Large predatory fish like shark and swordfish live longer and consume many smaller fish, which causes mercury to accumulate in their tissues at very high levels. When humans eat these fish, they take in all that accumulated mercury in concentrated form. For seniors, whose bodies process toxins more slowly, this concentrated exposure is far more damaging than it would be for younger adults. It is another example of how age changes not just the body itself, but how the body responds to what it is given. Recognizing this reality is not about fear, it is about wisdom. Seniors deserve to eat with confidence, knowing that their food choices are protecting their independence, mobility, and peace of mind. Steering clear of mercury-heavy fish is one of those quiet but powerful choices. It spares the body from unnecessary stress and preserves the strength that allows someone to live fully each day. The question that naturally follows is, if these fish are best avoided, then which seafoods provide the greatest benefit? The answer lies in selections that not only avoid toxins but actively nourish the body with protective fats, clean protein, and minerals that restore. Exploring those options is the next step, and it is one worth taking with care and curiosity, because it holds the key to eating in a way that truly strengthens rather than weakens. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Farmed fish, particularly varieties like tilapia or farm-raised salmon, are often marketed as affordable and convenient options. But when we look closely at what they mean for senior health, the story changes. The concern is not with the fish themselves, but with the way they are raised. Unlike wild fish that feed naturally in open waters, farmed fish are often kept in crowded conditions, fed processed pellets, and exposed to substances that affect their overall quality. For a senior whose health is already more delicate, this difference matters more than it may seem at first glance. One of the main issues with farmed fish is the imbalance of fats they contain. Fish are valued because of their omega-3 fatty acids, which support brain health, reduce inflammation, and keep the heart strong. Wild fish have high levels of omega-3 south because of their natural diet, but farmed fish are often fed corn, soy, and other unnatural feed, which raises their omega-6 fatty acid content. Omega-6 is not harmful on its own, but when it far outweighs omega-3, it tips the body into a state of chronic inflammation. For seniors, this can mean more stiffness in the joints, more aches in the legs, and a higher risk of conditions like arthritis, circulation problems, and heart disease. The very food that should protect their health instead creates a silent imbalance. Another concern lies in contaminants. Because farmed fish are raised in confined spaces, diseases spread more easily. To combat this, antibiotics and chemicals are often used in large amounts. Residues from these substances can remain in the fish, which then enter the body of anyone who eats them. Seniors, with slower metabolism and often multiple medications already in their system, may find their bodies burdened even further by these hidden elements. It is not always obvious at first, but over time, these exposures can weaken immunity, interfere with digestion, and even make it harder for the body to fight off infections. The environment in which farmed fish are raised also plays a role in their quality. When fish live in crowded pens with little room to move, their muscles develop differently. Compared to the lean, strong muscle tissue of wild fish, farmed fish often have softer flesh with higher fat content. For seniors seeking strength and energy from their meals, this difference is important. What should provide clean, lean protein becomes less effective in supporting muscle repair and endurance. When legs need more power and the body needs greater resilience, this reduced nutritional value makes it harder to maintain that strength. It is also worth noting that toxins like dioxins and PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, have been found in higher levels in farmed fish. These substances accumulate in fat tissue and can take years to leave the body. Seniors who already have less efficient detoxification systems are particularly vulnerable to their effects. Long-term exposure has been linked to weakened immunity, hormonal disruption, and even cognitive decline. Again, the risk is not immediate but cumulative, slowly wearing down the body's defenses over time. Still, the reality is that not all farmed fish are harmful in the same way. Some farms are adopting cleaner, more sustainable practices, improving feed, reducing overcrowding, and limiting the use of chemicals. But for the average consumer, it is difficult to know which fish are raised responsibly and which are not. Labels on packages often do not reveal enough, and so the safer path for seniors is to limit or avoid farmed varieties where possible, choosing wild-caught options instead. This is not about fear, but about making informed choices that prioritize vitality and well-being. For seniors who already struggle with mobility, energy, or memory, every meal matters. Food is not just fuel. It is part of the daily foundation that determines how strong, steady, and independent one can remain. Farmed fish may look similar to wild fish on a plate, but the differences inside are profound. Choosing wild means choosing fewer toxins, more natural nutrients, and better support for the body's needs at this stage of life. It is one of those small decisions that carry a lasting impact. The larger lesson here is that not all seafood is created equal. It is not enough to simply eat fish for health. The type of fish, and more importantly, how it is raised, determines whether that meal supports vitality or undermines it. For seniors, who rely on every ounce of strength to maintain independence, this distinction is vital. Understanding it gives power back to the individual, allowing them to take charge of their nutrition in a clear, simple way. And now the natural question arises: if some seafoods must be limited or avoided, then which ones offer the greatest promise for building strength, supporting the brain, and protecting the heart? The answer lies in carefully chosen options that combine safety with nourishment, turning each meal into an opportunity to restore health rather than diminish it. That is the journey we move toward next. Let's talk strictly about the topic. Salmon, when chosen wisely, is one of the most powerful foods a senior can place on their plate. Unlike many other proteins, salmon offers a unique blend of nutrients that target the very areas of health most vulnerable with age: the heart, the brain, the joints, and the muscles. Its reputation as a superfood is not exaggerated, because the science behind its benefits is clear and consistently reinforced. For seniors over 60, adding salmon to the diet can be more than just a meal choice. It can be an investment in independence, strength, and overall quality of life. The primary reason salmon stands out is its concentration of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. These are not just any fats, they are the kind the body cannot produce on its own and must get through food. For the heart, omega-3s reduce triglycerides, lower blood pressure, and decrease the risk of clot formation. Each of these effects matters for seniors, who are more prone to cardiovascular issues. A diet with salmon included even once or twice a week provides a steady supply of these protective fats, keeping circulation smoother and reducing the chances of complications that can limit mobility or energy. But the benefits go beyond the heart. The brain, often described as the control center of everything we do, also relies heavily on omega-3. Seniors may notice that with age, focus, memory, and sharpness can decline. DHA in particular plays a role in maintaining the structure of brain cells and supporting communication between them. This means that salmon is not just food for the body, it's food for the mind. By consistently eating salmon, seniors can nourish their cognitive function, reducing the risk of decline and keeping mental clarity sharper for longer. Joint health is another critical area, and salmon has an answer here as well. Many seniors live with arthritis, stiffness, or daily aches that make walking, standing, or even sitting uncomfortable. Omega-3 fatty acids work as natural anti-inflammatories, calming the processes that cause swelling and pain inside the joints. Unlike medications that may come with side effects, salmon provides this relief through nourishment. Regular intake may not erase all discomfort, but it can make movement easier, restore confidence and mobility, and reduce the feeling of being held back by the body. Muscles, too, benefit greatly from salmon. Protein is the building block of muscle tissue, and seniors often need more of it than younger adults to maintain strength. Salmon delivers high-quality protein, which helps repair muscle fibers, sustain energy, and preserve independence. Whether it is climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or simply rising from a chair, strong muscles are at the core of everyday living. A piece of salmon on the plate is more than a tasty dish, it is a tool for maintaining dignity and physical freedom. Another element worth noting is vitamin D. Seniors are at a higher risk of deficiency because the skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. Low vitamin D can weaken bones, increase fall risk, and affect mood. Salmon naturally provides this vitamin, filling a gap that otherwise might go unnoticed. In this way, it supports bone strength alongside muscle and joint health, reinforcing the body from multiple angles, of course. Not all salmon is the same, and this is an important detail to stay focused on. Wild-caught salmon is far superior to farmed salmon in both nutrient profile and safety. Wild salmon offers more omega-3s south and fewer contaminants, making it the wiser choice for seniors who want the full benefit without unnecessary risks. This distinction matters, because eating salmon only helps when the fish itself is clean, wholesome, and true to its natural form. The beauty of salmon is also in its flexibility. It can be grilled, baked, or lightly sautéed, making it adaptable to various tastes and textures. For seniors who may have difficulty chewing tougher meats, salmon's softer flesh is easier to handle, ensuring that nutrition does not come at the cost of comfort. A serving need not be large to be effective. Even moderate portions, when consumed consistently, deliver noticeable results over time. In truth, salmon is not a miracle cure, but it is one of the closest foods we have to a natural prescription. For aging well, it aligns with the body's needs in a way few other foods can, offering strength for the legs, sharpness for the mind, calm for the joints, and resilience for the heart. For seniors, every small habit matters, and choosing salmon regularly is one of those habits that create lasting impact without complication. And now, with salmon's importance clearly understood, the question becomes, what other seafoods share this level of promise, and how can they be combined into a diet that empowers seniors to feel stronger, steadier, and more alive each day? The answer leads us directly into the next discussion, where the best choices for nourishment reveal themselves in even greater detail.